As always, our social media accounts are available. If you guys want to send us things, we would love to hear what you've created here on A Mexican Crossing Lines with your hosts, Cindy Gomez-Schempp
and Duke Gomez-Schempp.
You're listening to 88.1 FM KPPPLP Fargo Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. Tonight, my show is Paloma Proceedings, and believe me, you do not want to miss this. I'm going to be covering some of Paloma Zuniga's latest online rants, some of which she's deleted. But don't worry, girl, we got you. Mm-hmm. We got you down here. So we made sure to save all your nuttiness. And we're going to be sharing it tonight and dissecting it. And we're going to be talking about what could have triggered the crazy. What is it that is making this person so agitated? Because I hadn't really brought her up since last year.
It's been a long time. You've been busy with the migrant caravan, 2020. In fact, we haven't done a show like this for a good week or so, and we haven't brought up Paloma, just in passing every once in a while, but there's been no focus on her, but she's going crazy out there, and all sorts of stuff is circulating, and she's just getting way out there. So it's time to actually put some time into this and look at what's been coming out, because she's been harping on us again. We haven't done nothing to her, Our stuff's done a long time ago, the damage done, but she wants to revive it, defend herself, do all sorts of stuff that just basically has turned us to want to look at this a little bit and give you folks some of the updates on this.
So the way that I receive information is through our social media accounts, through our website, and, feedback from all of you. And that's how I first learned of the latest craziness from Paloma. By the way, I want to thank all of you who continue to compile information and send us things on our social media and our email account, and to support the work of the station. If it wasn't for the viewers and the listeners like yourselves supporting the work of this little radio station that can here in Minnesota and in North Dakota, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So,
exactly.
Duke, tell them how they can find all our social media, follow us on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and ding the bell so you can get our notifications.
Exactly.
And how they can support our work.
Well, thank you very much. And, hopefully all those things work. You know how it goes. I was waiting to see the show to actually monitor, because I have to monitor during the show. My notification wasn't showing up, but it was there now, so I can actually see it and see all you folks out there in the live chat. We are on Duke 1517 on YouTube. That's our YouTube channel. We stream on our Facebook page, 88.1 FM Fargo Moorhead, and we put a lot of shows there. We have a YouTube audience. We have a Facebook audience. You can send this information right on Facebook, right to 88.1 FM Fargo Moorhead, the People's Press Project, the Mexi-Can. If you want to use old-fashioned email, you can email Cindy at kpppfm.com or me, Duke, at kpppfm.com. You can also find Cindy's public page at Cindy Go Schempp. And kpppfm.com. That's our main website. That's where we put our shows on after they've aired. We sometimes put audio files up. So sometimes we take audio files from the shows and we modify them to put on our radio station here in the Fargo Moorhead area. You can find all of those at kpppfm.com. And you can support us by participating in the super chat. In fact, some people already started. Stephanie Essex says, 35 dogs. Hi, Baldy, made a contribution. And Gwen Vasquez made a contribution also, and that's very much appreciated. You can support us by supporting the Super Chat. If you don't want to do Super Chat and you want to make a tax-deductible donation, go to kpppfm.com/donate. Make your donation there. You can have instructions on how to do check, money order, online donation. Support our nonprofit work in Fargo Moorhead and through the interweb, through our live chats, through our streaming. We are reaching audiences all over America and all over the world. Cindy has been on Counterculture, which is a Latin American program, twice now, and we aired one of those on Facebook, and we're aired the other one. But you go to his YouTube channel. He's very, very popular, and he's taken an interest in what we're talking about, and we really appreciate that. We appreciate you, and enjoy the show tonight.
So I want to start off by sharing the post that all of you sent me. This is a post that Paloma made. I think probably 10 or more people sent me this post, and I wanted you to kind of read it for folks too.
Oh, yes. This was put on Paloma's page and then circulated around the net. It was dated February 1st, 2020. Re Paloma for Trump, Paloma Zuniga. To whom it may concern, please be advised that Ms. Zuniga consulted with our law office regarding any and all restraining orders sought against her. We have advised Ms. Zuniga of her legal rights and remedies if the legal system is used as a form of harassment against her. This notice to notify any and all parties involved in such matters that Ms. Zuniga considers these restraining orders sought against her to be in bad faith and are an effort to harass her and defame her public image or the Paloma for Trump public figure. She intends to initiate a lawsuit against any defamatory statements made against her, not only through petitions, but also on social media, defamation, slander, and the radio show registered as KPPP LP 88.1 FM Fargo Moorhead. She'll pursue sanctions of attorney's fees against anyone using the legal system as a form of harassment against her. As orders get dismissed and as other orders filed against her for those she has been served with have been present, her case has been dismissed. That was really bad writing.
Yeah.
Please be advised that Ms. Zuniga has been made fully aware of her legal rights, your obligations and potential liabilities under law, and has expressed an intent to pursue any and all of it available legal remedies against you should you fail to ignore this notice. Nothing in this letter should be construed as a waiver of any rights or remedies in this matter, all of which expressly reserved. Moreover, please be advised this letter is written pursuant to California Evidence Code,
Section
blah, 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 and any and all information and documentation submitted herein for the purpose of settlement only, and nothing contained herein may be utilized in the subject proceeding. Your anticipated cooperation is appreciated. Thank you for your prompt attention, and it's blah, 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 Esquire.
Right, there's the names Carlton something LLP and something Aney Esquire.
Yep.
Because the names of the attorneys, supposed attorneys on this notice that was not sent to anyone, so therefore it is not an official notice of anything, was blacked out.
Yeah.
They completely blacked out.
Redacted. Hey, someone just supported us on the super chat.
Another sponsor.
Four paws. Let me be the first. Was waiting for this. Was you guys, Barbie?
She loves us. We love you back. And I love that you guys are supporting this work. But let me just tell you why this notification is so bogus. Besides the fact that it wasn't actually sent to anyone, which invalidates it as a notice because...
How would you know you got it?
Right. Nobody can claim to have received this notification from the lawyers whose names are blacked out. They request that this will be a notice that you will cooperate with. We anticipate your cooperation. How can you cooperate with someone that didn't send you a notice and has blacked out their name? Strange, right?
Yeah.
Plus, it says in the letter that this whole letter is supposed to be for the purposes of settlement. That this is the law that backs up this letter and what it says is the law of collection of evidence and is only for the purposes of settlement. Well, in order to settle a claim, in order to settle a lawsuit, you have to initiate one, which hasn't happened. So therefore, there is nothing to settle. There is nothing to settle because there is no initiated claim. But the thing that is most hilarious about this fake lawyer letter with run-on sentences, or maybe it is a lawyer that has no secretary, that has no spelling or grammatical skills, and that's why it looks like some Mickey Mouse document. But the thing that really is the most hilarious to me is the fact that Paloma is projecting what she does out into the ether. She is a vexatious litigant. What that means is somebody that uses the court system to harass people. That is what she does. This is what she does for fun. She harasses people. She stalks them. She threatens them. She, exploits them. She defrauds them. And then she tries to shield herself by taking out restraining orders before people have even a chance to respond to the craziness of what she does. And I'm going to prove that to you today. Again, because I've already shown you that she is a serial harasser and that she's constantly taking people to court. And I'm going to talk about that more today. But I'm going to give you evidence and proof that she is a stalker. I've showed you in other audio clips that she admits that she is out stalking people, right? And I'm going to show you more audios where she again admits that she is a crazy stalker. The criminal here, the person that should be prosecuted, is her. But what I think is the most hilarious and stupid about her letter, besides the fact that it is projecting what she does onto others, is that she admits that she is a public figure.
Yeah.
And that sort of invalidates her claim to sue people for defamation or for slander, because there's a higher bar to meet if you consider yourself a public figure, pendeja.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're a public figure, then there is a higher burden for you to prove that libel or slander even happened. And if your lawyer was worth the salt that any lawyer has to be worth in order to write such a letter, they would have known that. They would have already known that to identify you as a public figure would mean it would be almost impossible for them to file a lawsuit for libel or slander.
Exactly.
But I don't think your lawyer knows any of that stuff. Or how to spell, or how to write sentences that aren't run-on sentences.
Exactly, and throw in a few words here and there. Also the part where if anyone files a restraining order through the law, it's harassment. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. Legal proceedings against you are not harassment. They're legal proceedings against you. And those things thrown in there, so it's like she's throwing everything in the same barrel and switching it around. It's like she wants to be done with all this stuff.
Oh, it's not over by a long shot. She can't get away from all of the chaos that she creates. She can't get away from it because she has stirred up too much poo. She has stirred it up all over the nation and across two borders. And now she's going to have to contend with what she has done. But I think that the thing that really triggered Paloma, the reason why she is bringing up our radio station again, even though we haven't talked about her for months, is because she is starved for attention. And because recently, Maria Mesa was invited to the State of the Union address.
Yeah, that's right.
And I brought up the story of Maria Mesa. And I brought up the story about Congressmember Jimmy Gomez and how he wasn't just inviting her to the State of the Union address. He was inviting Maria Mesa, the famous woman that was pictured running through tear gas with her 2 children, half naked, in diapers, without shoes. The reason why she was prominent in the news for Jimmy Gomez was because Jimmy Gomez went down to the border with Nanette Barragan and the crooked lawyers from Al Otro Lado to personally escort Maria Mesa and her children into the United States. And they had to be granted expedited asylum on the basis that Maria Mesa and her kids' lives were in danger from none other than Paloma for Trump. That the woman Paloma that the excuse used by the members of Congress, by the lawyers from Al Otro Lado, okay, and by Maria Mesa was that Paloma for fraud posed a threat to her and her children. And if you'll recall, this is the same Paloma that was being interviewed by all of the left-leaning media that were well aware of exactly who she was as a juxtaposition, a figure that they could use as the big bad monster in Mexico that supports Trump and is the very reason why all of these migrants working with the Border Support Network activists need to be ushered over the border immediately. Immediately. And let's not forget that the media allies that were in Tijuana doing all these interviews, they frequently featured Pendeja for Fraud along with all of the Antifa, anarchist, leftist connected organizations. Like this KPBS report. Lest you forget, let me remind you, listen to the whole report. Look how it starts off, putting Paloma right at the forefront. And then the juxtaposition is the Border Support Network founder, Evan K. Duke, and all of the leftists that were surrounding her in Tijuana the entire time. Here's that report.
Quieres, puedes tomar fotos de lo que quieras. Call me a racist all the time. They call me a vendida. They say I'm against my own people.
Paloma Zuniga is a U.S. and Mexican citizen known as Paloma for Trump. She's at a migrant shelter in Tijuana, making Facebook Live videos about the people she's characterized to her 49,000 Facebook followers as invaders. One man gets angry.
Because I can film you as well. Would you like me to film you?
Zuniga finds a Honduran man she's met before, who has plans to go home. He says he needs money to buy bus tickets for his two friends to join him.
I was walking, he approached me, he asked me for my help.
She tells him she loves his message and that she's going to ask her followers to help him. Zuniga sells Make Tijuana Great Again baseball caps.
Good afternoon, guys. How is everybody doing?
And posts multiple times a day to Facebook. She spreads conspiracy theories and xenophobia against the migrants, falsely telling people a photo of a mother running from tear gas was staged. Zuniga says she's not against all the migrants, just the ones who break the law.
No hacerlo de manera ilegal, hacerlo de manera, de buena manera.
And while thousands of these Central Americans want asylum, Zuniga says most don't deserve it.
The bottom line is that each country should take care of its own people.
Zuniga was part of a confrontation against the caravan in the fall. Rocks and punches were thrown. The far-right group Oath Keepers has also put out a call to action online to send militants to the border to keep the caravan out. But the border is attracting other kinds of activists too.
I advocate for an end to borders. And again, that's just me personally.
Evan Duke is an anti-fascist and a social justice activist who came from Seattle with a handful of other left-wing activists to offer protection and aid to the migrants.
When right-wing hate groups threaten to march on refugees, we're going to do a call out to the community for people to come and stand in support of them and put our bodies in front of them if they're threatened.
Duke says things have gotten tense.
We've been receiving death threats on Facebook. Here's one now from Jose Opuerto out of San Diego. It says, just know that I'll be close behind your agitators and I will kill you if you get too comfortable.
Duke and several other activists went to the same shelter Paloma for Trump had visited to document the fact that migrants were being evicted by authorities.
So this is a mural for all of the deported veterans?
We spoke to one of them later at the border. This is Brendan Tucker from Canyon Lake, Texas.
I believe in cleaning up our own mess, and this is the mess that we created in the first place.
He came to Tijuana to cook for asylum seekers after learning that the U.S. contributed to unrest in Central America by backing military coups and sending guns. Tucker was at the border on New Year's Day when more than 100 migrants tried to cross the border illegally and were tear-gassed by Border Patrol.
But we had nothing to do with helping people cross. We had nothing to do with organizing it. All we did was come up to witness, document, and deliver medical aid.
Some American activists are openly encouraging migrants to jump the fence. BAM, By Any Means Necessary, is a U.S.-based group distributing flyers telling migrants to storm the border. We spoke to the national director, Shanta Driver, by phone.
Getting across the border by any means necessary is absolutely the right thing to do. We urge and encourage people to take mass action.
She says it's unsafe for migrants to be in Tijuana amid record violence. But attorney Erica Pinedo disagrees.
Waiting in Tijuana is not the same as trying to cross a smuggling route that is controlled by organized crime.
She says BAM is putting lives in danger and compromising good humanitarian work. Her nonprofit, Al Otro Lado, provides pro bono legal services to migrants. She says BAM is helping Trump's narrative that the caravan is an invasion.
That is not solidarity. That's exploitation. They are exploiting migrants to make a political point.
Karen Perez came from Nicaragua with her 4 children. She says the conflicting messages from Americans have been confusing. She's been on a weeks-long wait list to apply for asylum in the U.S.
Sometimes I get hopeless thinking I'll say yes to the people telling me to jump. But no, what am I, crazy? I'm not crazy. I'm going to wait.
She says she wants to do things the legal way and doesn't want to risk her children's lives when she's come this far to escape danger. Jean Guerrero, KPBS News.
How many reports came out of Jean Guerrero? Lots of them.
Yeah.
Very favorable. They featured all of the different players that worked together. Here's the crazy thing. They didn't share in Jean Guerrero's post, her news piece, that all of those people work together and know each other. In fact, in one part of it, you have Erica Pinheiro of the Crooked Lawyers Group from Al Otro Lado saying that she doesn't feel that BAM is in solidarity with their work, that in fact, they're putting migrants at risk and that that's exploitation, not solidarity. And I have shown you on my show the close personal working relationship between Evan Duke and the Border Support Network people and Al Otro Lado, and how the Border Support Network leadership are intrinsically tied to BAM leadership. That they advocate, at the very least, they definitely tolerate violence. I've shown all of that on my shows. But I believe that, and I saw Paloma post on her page that she was going to do a video explaining all of the stuff about Maria Mesa. I think that it's beyond explaining. It's very clear the role that Paloma played. She was the excuse that was used by the crooked lawyers and the Congress people to further this rhetoric that the migrants are unsafe in Mexico and they must be transported into the United States to wait for their asylum hearing, many of whose hearings will be denied. Many of whose claims will be denied. Most of whose claims will be denied because they don't qualify for asylum. And yet, Maria Mesa just recently at the State of the Union address with a member of Congress, she got special treatment, and it all happened because of Paloma Zúñiga. Paloma Zúñiga, as you could see in this piece by KPBS, here's another article by KPBS in which they're talking about how Paloma was the reason for that asylum. There's a picture of her carrying one of Maria Mesa's kids. Does it look like the woman that was carrying and kissing on and bringing clothes to and getting donations for and reporting and following this Maria Mesa all the time was a risk to her and her children in Mexico?
It doesn't look like it.
It doesn't look like it to me. And yet that's what it says right there in the article. That's the reason why Maria Mesa was given an opportunity to enter the United States in an expedited fashion. And people in the lawyers group, people that were advocating for Maria Mesa, said that Paloma was stalking her. You see that right there? Make it a little bit bigger. It says, she was stalking her, said Anna Joseph, an attorney. You screwed it over a little bit? With Mexico's Institute for Women in Migration. The people from the lawyers group that were speaking on this report, Al Otro Lado, they were at the border to escort this woman over. They knew what the excuse was going to be that was used, and they all know who Paloma is because all of those people were working in and near her. Did you see her in that video talking to one of the migrants that said he was going to return to Honduras, and how she was doing a live stream with her husband there, asking people who followed her to help support him? I don't know if it was just moral support or financial support, but as we have learned now, a lot of those folks that went back to their country to give a message to their countrymen not to come up here in a illegal fashion, were just getting a free ride home so that they could smuggle the next caravan up.
Exactly.
That's what they were doing. and how frequently did we show you that Paloma had the phone numbers and the contacts for the spokespeople within that shelter and within other shelters, where she would just run down at the drop of a hat when she got that phone call from the spokespeople working within the caravan. They said they had no spokespeople, no organizers, no leaders, and yet Paloma had a contact number for the people that were running the show all the time.
Yep.
Right? But now that that woman who she helped make famous is sitting in the State of the Union address, she wants to try to backtrack and explain to you. And I don't think she even did a video about it.
No, not that I saw. Not that anyone sent me that. And she does that a lot. She'll say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to talk about it, and then never does it.
Yeah.
And it comes back later and says, oh, that was all taken care of. She always backtracks, says she did stuff, and then she says, oh, that's ancient history. It happened so long ago. So she's, of course, not very reliable to explain herself.
Well, Betty says that she watched that video back then, and she did ask for financial support to help return him and his friends home. They could all get free rides home from the government. She was just raising money for them. She raised money from people like Mary Tando Quintanilla for Maria Mesa. She got donations for them, food, clothing. And at the same time, Paloma was spreading lies, saying that Maria Mesa and her kids had gone to a shelter in a different town and had been kidnapped by a smuggler.
That's right.
And that she had to run for 4 hours with her children on the pavement.
With the children all the way.
Do you remember it?
Oh, yeah. And I think, too, is that this is like the State of the Union. She was just jealous she wasn't there, Right. How dare they put Maria Mesa? She doesn't deserve to be there. And Maria Mesa was, fearful of Paloma. One of the reasons she's got asylum. And there she is sitting at the State of the Union address, and Paloma just wanted herself to be there.
Well, it's because of her situation, all of her proceedings, all of her legal troubles, that she has this, FOMO.
Yeah.
Fear of missing out. That's what's happening to Paloma now, even though she was rumored to recently have attended a Lexit event. But it probably wasn't as fulfilling as she would have wanted it to be, because in order to avoid getting served by multiple people that want to keep her away from them, she couldn't announce that she was there.
Yeah, exactly.
She had to do it incognito. She couldn't brag about it before, during, or after, because she didn't want to know. She didn't want anyone to know where she was. And I still think she got served.
Yeah.
She still got served.
Yeah.
People know where you are, and people know what you are, more importantly. So, you can run, but you can't hide.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the video she made prior to fabricating this nonsensical non-notice that she posted on her own page that nobody received or had mailed to them.
I see.
And this is the video that preceded it, in which she goes on this rant, obviously talking about me and other people that she is obsessed with, and is talking about, and she's looking at our page and our videos that we've done, reporting on the investigations and what the evidence that we've uncovered about her and her fraud. And this is what she had to say.
Why I didn't take any action against all this slander and against all this criminal harassment that this entire group, of course, nasty Mexican, started because of Oscar and Anthony, because they were so upset their donations may get taken away, or they may lose donations. I'm still waiting on this one. Never heard back from you on this one, low-class Mexican. And anyway, so now attorneys are asking me, who was all involved in this? So now I get a chance. I get a chance to go through it, to say who said what. Oh! I aged just looking at that. I get a chance to go through it, and who said what? You know what's funny? That she doesn't get any views unless she talks about me. Isn't that insane? Look at her linking me to a terrorist because I took a picture with some guy that was dressed cool at some rally, trying to make me all out to be a terrorist. What a dumb bitch.
Because
seriously.
he is a terrorist.
And wow, slander seen by thousands. That's crazy. So attorneys are asking me, look at this way, riding around an Uber. She was trying to ride around an Uber. Oh my God, only Ubers would pay attention because she was paying them, remember? Oh my God, oh this one, remember this guy? Turns out he was a total criminal. Total criminal, this guy, remember that one? Oh my gosh, I don't watch them. Paloma on the Dr. Phil show, that was great, right? Definitely not what she expected. So, they're asking me, okay, who exactly was all involved in all of this? Who exactly was all involved in this harassment and criminal slander? This is a major form of harassment. And it's not in some states. In California, they're very, very lenient. But in other states it is, Thank God I don't have any children, and I could move to New York and New Jersey tomorrow, or any of those states, even Arizona. So, but yeah. Remember this one? Trying to say that I went to Vegas with this guy? Trying to say that I was a prostitute and I went to Vegas with this guy. Poor guy. Hope we ever find him. Hope we find him so we can get a statement from him. Not that it really matters at this point, because they got so desperate that their own rhetoric kind of overlapped another one. It was so dumb. And wow, look at how cute. All kids love me because I'm an angel. Oh look, me. Special guest at the Playboy Mansion. Oh, look at that. It's crazy. Crazy how these crazies are so obsessed with my life. I love it. It just makes me realize how important I am. But again, a lot of this. So I'm sending a lot of this to the attorneys now. Somebody's getting a letter in the mail to
nope.
To let them know that that all legal fees will be pursued, because you have to have an actual reason to come after someone. You can't just be filing frivolous orders and lawsuits just because you just can't do that. So
because
all this is a form of harassment. Who was Josh? Oh, it was this fool, right? It was this clown over here. He was never heard from again. So anyway, I thought it was. I think it's all pretty interesting. All right here, all in one source. Thank you for putting it all together for me. That way, I'm super busy. I don't have to go digging around. Couldn't be any more clear. Look at these stalkers. Look at these obsessed stalkers, just because I don't age. And I never will.
Oh, God.
And they don't even know why. And it drives them insane. And I will keep growing, and I will keep going. And I'm still waiting on that voter fraud, and I'm still waiting on that terrorism, and I'm still waiting on those movie channels. And it's funny. And oh, by the way, now that I bring this up, and she has now admitted openly that she collaborates with Oscar and Anthony, it's funny because women are coming forward to expose private tapes from Oscar's prostitution at hotels. They have them filmed. They have them on tape.
See, now that kind of stuff is actual slander, what she does. But
yeah,
just throws things out without evidence. We bring evidence. When we accused her of voter fraud, we showed you the receipts. We didn't just talk. I'm going to show you the clip right now because she brought it up. She's like, oh, I'm still waiting on the voter fraud and the movies.
And the terrorism and stuff. The thing is that we're not filing charges. I mean, we're reporting, we're showing evidence. We want people to know who this character is out there that's harming a lot of people all over the place and expose her. We're not filing lawsuits. We're not filing orders and all those sorts of things. And That's our page on Facebook. You can go there and look at all the videos,
Now,
if she had a problem, she'd have them taken down, which, is her prerogative.
if the police, if law enforcement, if other people that are investigating these people, whether it's in Mexico or in the United States, use the evidence that we have so diligently gathered together and put into one location for anybody to find and documented all of the crimes that she has been accused of committing.
Exactly.
Then so be it. That's fine. We document all of the stuff that we have on our pages for that very purpose, because prior to going into media work, I worked as a paralegal for nearly 2 decades. I bring that skill to the job that I do as a reporter, as an in-depth investigative reporter, which is why I work with so many different people. And don't get it twisted, Paloma. I found Oscar. I had already been broadcasting with Duke for years prior to running into the caravan in Tijuana. And I began reaching out to reporters there because they were watching my reporting on the first caravan that arrived, which was the LGBTQIA caravan, and who was heading it up, which was Pitaya Queen.
Yeah.
I had information that tracked back to the Standing Rock campaign and activism that I felt that the people reporting in Tijuana needed to have. And the very first person I went to was one of the people in that KPBS footage, in the reel of footage that they showed of her. Alfredo Alvarez's footage was used. That was one of the first reporters I reached out to. And the second one wasn't Oscar either. The second one was a reporter from Nogales. And I reached out to a number of different shelters. I reached out to a number of different authorities, the mayor, the members of Congress, all sorts of local politicians I reached out to, so that they would know the criminal element that was sitting in their backyard and would be able to identify them quicker and faster. And one of the people I was looking into more closely was this Paloma Zúñiga and even Riebling, who she claimed she didn't know after she went and stood in line and took pictures with, who she claimed she didn't know even though she was seen in videos walking around the street encampment in Tijuana, who she claimed not to know, but who was being interviewed by the same leftist media as she was. And the more that she tries to distance herself from people that are associated directly with that border support network, the more I know she's a liar.
Oh, yeah.
The more that she tries to distance herself from the fact that people like Oscar and other reporters that want to stop mass migration, that want to stop these traffickers and smugglers being in their town operating, they can't go into the Border Angels shelter on Playas de Tijuana. But Paloma can. She got in right away. So when she complains about the investigative reporting we do, just know that we have not made any accusation without being clear on what the evidence is behind it, so that you all can make your own decision. Here's what we brought you on voter fraud.
This was done a while ago. It was from the research that I did.
Yep.
I did my share of community organizing for the past 20-some years in North Dakota and Minnesota. And part of my work was getting people out to vote. And through this process, it would help get people registered and help them get to the polls so they could vote. Was not partisan, didn't tell people who to vote for or what to do, just that they had that right as a United States citizen. In the United States, if you're a citizen, you have the right to vote. It's one of the privileges of being a citizen. Whether you're a naturalized citizen or a natural-born citizen, both citizens types can vote. However, if you're a natural-born citizen, you have a little more rights than the naturalized citizen. If you're a naturally born citizen in the United States, you can run for president. If you're a naturalized citizen, can't run for president. Sorry, that's in the Constitution. I would have to change. But anyways, I did my share of voter registration and getting people to the polls. And what I learned through that process is that even though you have a right to vote, each state has requirements in order for you to vote. And one of the main requirements is that you have to have a residency. You actually have to have a physical residence that you live in that you vote. And you have to live there a certain amount of time before the election. In Minnesota, it's 30 days before the election. You have to live at that address. North Dakota, it's 30 days. In California, it's only 14 days. So you have to live in a physical residence in California 14 days before the election. So then you're eligible to vote. Now, who can vote in California? You have to be a United States citizen and a resident of California. You have to be 18 years old or older on election day, and not currently in prison. And they have some other requirements about the whether you're a felon. You know, some felons can vote depending on what their felony was, and those sorts of things. Now, however, in California, they also have a requirement that says you cannot use a P.O. box as an address. Right here from the Secretary of State's page, from the frequently asked questions about voter registration. May I register to vote at my business address, or may I use a P.O. box number? And the Secretary of State says, no. A person may only register to vote at his or her place of residence. A business address or a P.O. box number may only be used as a mailing address. Now that's really important information, because I'm just about to tell you that Paloma for Trump boasts about how she voted for Trump. And you can go to her page and you can see information, her voter receipt and those sorts of things. And she talks about that got her involved into politics the very first time. That's how she became Paloma for Trump. Now, we can find information out about people on the internet. I mean, there's so much information about you on the internet that, it's just easy to find. Your information goes out on your bills. It goes out every time you register for events. Your date of birth, you show. Every time you go to a bar and they card you, you show them your date of birth. You show them your address on your driver's license. All this information is put on the internet and is easily found. There's sites you can go to that you can research people. Employers do this all the time. So there's all this public information. And then there's private information like your medical records and really, really private stuff that shouldn't be out there. And then people, shouldn't be putting that information on the internet. But I've done my share of researching Paloma for Trump, because she always talks about how she lives in Tijuana. She says she's a dual citizen, and that's great. However, she talks where she lives is actually in Tijuana. And, that's concerning, because she actually, put her voter receipt up, that she actually was accepted for her registration. And she's very proud of it. And she says, thank you, President Donald J. Trump, for making politics for everyone. Now, she's talking about, she's just talking about that she could vote as a U.S. citizen and lives in Mexico. She talks about this quite a bit. If we actually go to one of her videos, just a recent video, she talks about this, talks about it openly.
Frustrated of that, and she kept saying that she had evidence but yet didn't. No, I don't live in America. I live in Mexico, and you guys have seen me waking up in Mexico for the last 8 months. I didn't just move to Mexico because of the caravans. I live in Mexico. I've lived in Mexico for 11 years. I travel a lot to LA. I'm in LA right now. I've traveled a lot to Florida. I travel a lot to Pennsylvania. I went to school I don't travel a lot to Pennsylvania, but I travel sometimes to back east. I went to school in New York City a long time ago, but I've lived in Tijuana without any interruption for the last 11 years. I moved to Tijuana in 2008. I believe it was July 2008.
Wow. Now, we have to think about that, because she's talking about how she's lived in Tijuana for all these years. So how did she vote in the last election? Now, if you actually go to look up the information, you can go look up the information on the website in California. There's a voter registration verification page. And if you go to that and put the numbers in, put her name, address, date of birth, and zip code. Now, once again, your name, your address, your date of birth, your zip code. It's all information that can be found about you on the internet. You also show people this information continually. If you write checks, or if you're carded, or if someone wants to see your ID for whatever reason, entry to a business, entry into an event, you are showing this information and it's collected. You write it down on signature forms all the time if you sign petitions and things like that. Now, if we actually go to the voter registration verification, I'm going to actually block out some of this information because I had to find it. I had to look for it. And if you want to find it, go ahead and look it up yourself, and you can go to the site lavote.net. Punch your information in and see if the voter registration verification comes up correctly. And when I do, it comes up voter registration verification, and it says it is active. The voter registration is active on Paloma for Trump. Well, that's interesting because, it's an address, but it's actually, an address that is a P.O. box. If you look up her address and try to find her, there's an apartment building, big apartment building, but all those apartments, her address has a hyphenated number, and it doesn't match, 102, 103, 2234. It doesn't have a normal apartment number. It's a hyphenated number. And it starts out with the suite 2 dash blah, blah, blah. So if you actually go and look at the address actually resolves to this address. Paloma for Trump's address she used for voter registration is this place, which is PMB Private Mail Boxes. This is a place at the address that she lists on her voter registration as her residence, and it's STE2 dash blah, blah, blah. This is a P.O. box. This is not an actual address. You don't live in your P.O. box. You don't live in a P.O. box. You have to live at a physical address to establish your residency. Residency is the number one thing that we use in elections because we're a representative government. Each person that runs in Congress or locally in school boards, city council, all those things, they represent people that live in their district. That's why you actually have to have a physical residence in that district because you have people representing you. When you vote for president, you still pertains the same. You can't just live anywhere in the United States and go to another state and vote. You can't be in one precinct and go to another precinct and vote. So when you look at the address that Paloma's voter registration resolves to, it resolves to a P.O. box address. Makes you wonder. Voter fraud. Now, I'm just saying that the information I have, and I can plug it into the Secretary of State's site and come up with Paloma's actual verification that she's registered to vote. But when you dig deeper and look at the actual address that she uses, she doesn't live there. And remember, she just did a video talking about she's lived in Tijuana for over 11 years continually. So, it's interesting that it may be voter fraud, and her receipt was posted on her page. She's very proud of it, and no one's bothered to check where she really lives. So I submit to you that Paloma for Trump has potentially committed voter fraud. And what that means, it means two things. One, she could be potentially guilty of a crime if she was investigated with the same information. I'm not doing that, I'm just exposing it. And the second thing is that her vote should not have counted, because it would be a spoiled ballot. It would be an invalid vote. Now, the Republicans and Democrats have been talking about voter fraud for a long time. The Republicans more than the Democrats. Seems like Democrats don't think it's a big deal. They want everybody to be able to vote. And when the Republicans have come up with legislation, federal legislation, Help America Vote Act, and other voting acts have been passed through legislatures to make it that people are verified that they qualify to vote. Now, we've heard the Republicans accuse the Democrats that there's a lot of voter fraud on the Democrats' side, but I don't hear much about people saying Republican voter fraud, that the Republicans have gotten many votes because of voter fraud. I don't know. I haven't researched all that. I've just heard it on the news and I've heard people talk about it. But this specific example, in my opinion, shows that this person voted for Trump And that vote shouldn't count because it's an invalid vote because she didn't establish residency in a proper actual residence in California. So I submit to you that Paloma for Trump is committing voter fraud. As I said earlier, every United States citizen has a right to vote, either if you're a naturalized citizen or a natural-born citizen. Well, both my wife Cindy, and I are natural-born citizens. We both were born in the United States, therefore we're a natural-born citizen. If you were born in Mexico, and then you gain citizenship in the United States, you're a naturalized citizen. And again, the only difference between those two is that one more right happens with a natural-born citizen than a naturalized citizen. And that is that the natural-born citizen can run for president. A naturalized citizen can't.
Okay, so first of all, we showed you the evidence that we had on how she committed voter fraud in the 2016 election. And her response to that was that she had a residence, and if it was true that she had a residence, she should have used that residential address rather than a P.O. box, which is what she used. And I recently found an audio in which she asks someone to allow her, to help her to find a P.O. box in order for her to establish a residence. This is her, in her own words, explaining to you how she uses P.O. boxes to establish residency in different states. The thing she said she didn't do. This is her own voice asking for help so that she can establish residency in a different state, so that she can get herself a driver's license, because she ain't got one. She's driving around without a driver's license, and she needs one in the U.S. She's tried to get it elsewhere, but that ain't working for her. Take a listen.
Hey girl, you lived in Vegas, so you may be able to guide me. Do you know of any, I'm going to Vegas on Friday, but I really need to get a fucking driver's license. Do you know of any like P.O. box that has like a physical address that I could get over there so I can establish residence? I want to register my car and get a Vegas driver's license, but they won't give me one without proof of residency. So for that, I have to obviously establish residency for like a couple months. So I don't know. Since you live there, maybe you can guide me.
Okay, Duke, I know you haven't lived in Las Vegas, but I'm going to ask you about establishing residency. Because she said, hey, can you help me find a P.O. box that has a physical address so I can put that down,
so I can lie
as my residency in Las Vegas? Is that how you establish residency?
No, you actually have to live there. And different states have different amounts of times you have to live there in a residence before.
And a P.O. box?
No, P.O. boxes don't work. They don't work. In California, they work for only your mailing.
Well, if I'm renting a little P.O. box, am I not renting a little piece of America?
Oh, if you're sleeping in the P.O. box, yes, and that would be your residence, And, I did voter registration.
I don't think she can fit in a P.O. box.
No, a really big one. You can pay extra for that. So I've done voter registration, and my job was to try to figure out how to get people registered to vote so they could vote. I had many problems trying to find. There was no way for a lot of people that they could vote because they didn't live in a place they wanted to vote. It's like, and it was dealing with a lot of homeless people. If you're living in a shelter, we could get the shelter's address, and we'd have to have the shelter vouch for you. Students in dorms would have to choose that as their legal residence, even though they had another residence someplace else. There was all sorts of things to get people to commit that this is where I'm going to vote, and this is my actual residence. When you don't have one there, you can't vote. That's voter fraud because that's what people are worried about, is someone to run around and vote multiple times in different places or vote in places they don't actually live. So my experience has been that a P.O. box is not a valid address for voting, and it's that way in almost all the states I know of.
Now, that may have been her way of trying to sort of, on the down low, beg for somebody that lives there to lie and say that they live with her, right? But listen very carefully, because she knows what she's doing. And I don't think it's because she just had an epiphany. I think she's done this before in other states, like when she voted fraudulently in California, and now she wants to figure out how she could do that so she could get a license. Listen again. Here's the audio where she admits that she is looking for a place to establish residency with a P.O. box.
Hey girl, you lived in Vegas, so you may be able to guide me. Do you know of any, I'm going to Vegas on Friday, but I really need to get a fucking driver's license. Do you know of any like P.O. box that has like a physical address that I could get over there so I can establish residence? I want to register my car and get a Vegas driver's license, but they won't give me one without proof of residency. So for that, I have to obviously establish residency for like a couple months. So I don't know. Since you live there, maybe you can guide me.
Oh, Paloma. Hey, there's a, a donation and a comment that came in and talking directly to Paloma. It's Mary Tando Quintanilla says, see you in court on Monday.
Woo. She better show up.
You better show up, or she will be heavily fined.
Well, wish you much luck on that. She does like to
skip out
serial
on hearings,
litigate and skip out on the court hearings. We know that, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But I do want to read a few more of the comments. One from Four Paws said, Paloma likes attention. She will start up and mention people's names on her page so that they react. Myself, along with many, laugh at her. Karma's going to get her. Sophia says, Paloma keeps saying nothing is going on at the border and says Oscar is a fraud for reporting what is going on. Why is she trying to shut him up? She is protecting smugglers. Why, of course she is, and she's been doing that all along. In fact, to that point, I'm going to be showing you or reminding you of some of the smugglers she has protected. There's another comment here saying, how hasn't she already been held accountable? Lol. New Jersey courts have had enough of her. What they have planned won't be a fine. Woo. And Kim asks, how can Paloma be involved in our elections if she doesn't even live in the U.S.?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah, I have that same question. I would like to know how she gets away with that. And to answer Diane's question about the restraining order, yes, it appears that Mary Quintanilla has one, but a lot of other people have had to take restraining orders out against this serial stalker. She is obsessive, compulsive. She seems to have an inability to stop stalking people, Oh, Lee says, people take note. This happens to the brain when on drugs. Don't know what country you belong to. Have a mixed up family life. Never got love and attention. Going through menopause. But her brain is fried mush. There's a lot going on in there. And none of it seems very good. And I want to show you, going back to the show here, I want to show you how in the past she has videotaped her and her husband committing fraud. Now, I don't know if she was filming this to keep a record of it so she could blackmail her husband in the future. I know that she likes to keep audios for future blackmails, but she did, record all of these videos herself, and I'm going to show and share with you what she said. I know some of the audience on here tonight has never seen this before. I did a whole show. You can find it on YouTube and our kpppfm.com page. It's called, I think it was called Super Chat Extras on Paloma for Fraud. Yeah. Super Chat Extras on Paloma for Fraud. I break down all of these videos she uploaded of them committing fraud and explaining how they commit fraud, crossing things over the border. You know what that's called? Smuggling. Yep. Okay? So just so we're clear, she wanted me to present evidence, and she brought it up again in her video. Here you go.
Yo lo descubrí, güey, lo demás y todo.
Sí, porque si no, ¿dónde sacarían las facturas, no?
Yeah, because he said, they're leaving an internet cafe right now, just so you know what's going on. And she's pretending that she's just carrying her phone, and she doesn't want him to know she's filming. But she's asking him about the invoices or the purchase orders.
¿Ya tienes tu machote?
That says portation, import. You see that? Import. They created those documents in that cafe. And she asks about them.
O sea, ¿tienes 3 empresas diferentes?
So you have 3 different businesses. Tienes 3 empresas diferentes.
Y ya nada más les cambias el teléfono. ¿Y qué teléfono les pones?
Y ya nada más les cambias el teléfono. ¿Y qué teléfono les pones? And then you just change the phone numbers on them. And what numbers do you put?
Los teléfonos de esas compañías. ¿Y si les llaman? Ya les llaman otra vez. Pero no vi que pusiste un número que era mío.
He says the telephone numbers for those companies, and then it's very difficult to understand what he says after that. And she goes, well, I saw you put down my phone number as the phone number for one of those companies, fake companies.
Ah, sí. Mi teléfono ya ni es mío, güey. O sea, yo tengo que, si me llaman a mí, yo tendría que contestar, Babe Marina, can I help you?
Yeah, that phone number doesn't even belong to me anymore that you put down, and I would have to answer my phone, Big Marina, can I help you?
Oye, buscamos a Babe Marina. Ah, antes era Babe Marina, pero ya creo que ya fue a la bancarrota. Ya se fue, ya bailaron.
And he responds to her, yeah, if someone were to call you and ask, you just say, oh, yeah, this used to be the phone number for Big Marina, but I don't know what happened to that business. And then she says, yeah, they went bankrupt or something.
¿De qué? Le voy a decir que le hable al polillo. Porque su pinche credencial no está certificado por notario.
And he says he's talking about having to call someone and have his credentials verified.
Pero no necesita la firma, no necesita la firma en la credencial del lector.
And she says, don't you need? He says, I hope he says yes, or basically he hopes that this person will agree to do what they're asking him to do. And she said, don't you need the signature and his credentials from his election or voter registration card?
Bueno, ¿no necesitas una carta poder?
Or, I mean, don't you need like a power of attorney or something?
Pero digo, lo hago con consentimiento del dueño. El dueño dijo que falsifique lo que tenga que falsificar. A mí no me importa, a mí nada más dígame cuánto es, ya quiero.
He says, lo que tenga que falsificar. Go ahead. Lo falsificamos. Go back a little bit so you can hear that part. Whatever we have to falsify, we will, a little bit further. He's talking about falsifying documents to show that they have purchased boats or vehicles that are crossing across the border that they have not purchased.
No, el pedo no es la carta poder, el pedo es las facturas, ¿no?
They look at the it's not really mostly about the power of attorney. They look at the invoices, right, or the purchase orders.
Quiero.
And I'm sorry, I stopped it right where she was pulling out a boogie there. But I just wanted to
not intentional.
No. But you know, in the longer video that I did, in the longer translation of all of the videos that she did put up, she goes into depth about how stupid Border Patrol agents are, that they see the signed and sealed documents from Mexican institutions, and they believe that those are real purchase orders. And that's how the fraud happens. That's how the fraud occurs. And in this next video, she actually does a little clip of herself in the vehicle as she's going to go inside the impound lot offices with her husband, saying to the video that she's making, okay, so you just heard that. Now he's going to go into this building and register those fake documents that he just made at the internet cafe. Here's that clip. Moving the phone and covering the speaker. Well, Annabelle would send the money to, would send them to Christina, and then she would take 1,000. So I'm not going to send it to Christina anymore. Was that the old lady? They're going to give them to me, and I'm going to take 100. Okay, okay. Dust, she says. And I have to give her $100, I think he said. But what about the bills of sale? The ones that you make up in the cafe, at the cafe. How do you justify those? It's not. How do you justify those bills of sales that are not real, basically? Go on, go on. He says, go on ahead, I'll wait for you. Which she's not going to do. She's going to march in there to keep videotaping more evidence of him committing fraud for the future. But she stops so that she can sit in the vehicle and talk to her video and tell the video, did you hear that? He just admitted to falsifying these documents at the internet cafe, and now he's going inside to register the fake documents. Listen one more time, okay?
I'll back it up a little bit.
Right there. Good.
Here we go.
Ahora estamos aquí en internación temporal de vehículos. Ahí va en camino a entregar las facturas que acaba de falsificar en un café internet.
Internación temporal de vehículos means temporary impounding of vehicles.
Okay.
Or like where you hold vehicles. So it's temporary holding place for different kinds of vehicles, which could be boats, could, anything with a motor.
Impounded.
Anything with a motor on it. And she's talking about the fact that he just falsified these documents at the internet cafe. Now she's going to go inside and keep filming him. Watch. We're going inside. Yeah, she's definitely providing. I don't even have to provide evidence of all of her crimes. She has been documenting them for me.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that happens, and it's information that we had a long time ago, but it's very pertinent to today and what we're talking about. And I love the interactions that are happening tonight on the Super Chat. We got a message and a donation from Sophia. Sophia says that Paloma, she also posts that we shouldn't support anyone who reports on the border. By the way, all of her followers who still support her are against our President Trump.
And they work very closely with the smugglers, and they help people get expedited asylum into our country, like Maria Mesa, who she was basically joined at the hip to. And she posted pictures because everyone knew that was a staged event. Everybody was reporting on the fact that this was staged, and there was a bunch of American activists and media infiltrators. And she posted this on her Paloma for Trump page saying that Paloma didn't believe that this was a staged photo because, she said that a lot of people questioned that. So she went and interviewed Maria Mesa.
That's right.
Okay? Mm-hmm. And she left out a bunch of information that would have seemed to corroborate the fact that this photo was staged and that she did know the photographer and that she had a relationship to the photographer. And Paloma left it out. Notice how Paloma just manages to hide or protect or end up helping all of the people that she claims that she is against. Kind of strange.
Yep.
But take a listen for yourself.
Sure.
And Paloma says, who needs Hollywood when you have the caravan in Tijuana? Right?
Right.
Look at her mindset. She tells it herself. Who needs Hollywood? Well, looks like Hollywood was already there. And by the way, Paloma actually talked to Maria, found her on the streets, interviewed her, and I'm going to share the YouTube video link for you to go and watch this whole video for yourselves. But I'm not going to play the whole thing here now. What I want you to know is that in this interview, she says, I'm going to confront her. I'm going to ask her why. I'm going to give her a piece of my mind and tell her, why did you do this? Why did you put your kids at risk? And then when she interviews her, the woman says, well, I didn't know that was going to happen. Lies. I didn't have any idea that I would be putting my kids at risk. I'm like, really?
Wow.
Are you not talking to a person that brought 5 kids in a caravan with criminals? With no idea of how she was going to get here or what she was going to do when she did? Really? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, then. But pendeja for fraud never thinks of these things, even though she's an expert on the border and everything United States-Mexico. Makes sense. And then she says to her, I was fleeing my country. She doesn't say because of her life was in risk, because gangs were following her, threatening to kill her or put her kids in gangs or anything like that. She said, I was renting a room with my 5 kids and I didn't make enough money at my job to pay all of my bills and feed them. That's why I joined the caravan. And then Paloma asks her, how did you find out about the caravan? Did you see it on the news? The lady started answering right away. She says, well, people told me about it and they said you should come. And no, but she wanted her to say that she saw it on the news, that she saw advertisements for it. Did you see that? She's like, yeah, I heard about that. And then she says, so everyone thinks those photos were staged. Were they staged? And she says, no, I had no idea that the Chinese guy had even taken my picture. But a little before she says that she didn't know the Chinese guy had taken her picture, that's Kim Kyung-hoon she's referring to, who's South Korean, not Chinese. But if you know how Latin Americans talk, they refer to anyone that's Asian as Chinese. Maybe that's because we don't have that many Asian people in our proximity, in the places that people live. Mexico's very homogenous in many ways. But for whatever reason, it's probably a little bit racist, but for whatever reason, she called him a Chinese, el chinito. Chinito, she calls him. And I'm going to play this clip where she doesn't just admit to the fact that the chinito bought them food after he took their picture. Her and her family took them out to eat. Quid pro quo much?
Yeah.
But also had given her the tarp her children were in, because she asks her, where are your kids right now? Are they getting wet? Because it's raining during this interview pretty hard. And she says, they're under a tarp, a white tarp. She's like, oh yeah, you have a white tarp. And she says, yeah, the chinito gave it to me. So a tarp, a tent, whatever she has for covering was given to her. Her housing was provided to her by the guy that took the picture. And so was her meal. He helped us, she said, with food. The chinito, the guy that took her picture, fed her and housed her while she was there. I know it's only a tarp. I know it might have just been a donation of food or even a single dinner. But my point is still valid, and she didn't translate any of that. None of it. If you really care about the answer about whether or not that freaking photo was staged. Why aren't you saying what this woman just told you? Pendeja for Trump. Did you forget how to speak Spanish and English? I want to know. Let's roll the tape. I will translate. We haven't eaten.
Pero les han traído donaciones y todo, ¿no?
You've gotten donations.
El chinito que me tomó la fotografía, él lo compró una comida para. They've been getting help from different people.
The Chinese guys. Did you hear that? El Chinito. Can you pause it and rewind that?
I thought they had flip-flops on. Yes. I thought she.
More.
Like that. From the people that feed them here 3 times a day and stuff like that. El chinito que me tomó la fotografía.
Right there. Get it again. Same place. Just keep playing it.
Donaciones y todo, ¿no? Sí, el chinito que me tomó la fotografía, él lo compró una comida para.
Pause. El chinito que nos tomó la fotografía. Fotografía is photograph. Chinito is Chinese. She's talking about the South Korean man, Kim Kyun-hoon, who took the picture. Hit it one more time. I just want you to hear it.
The same thing.
Because she doesn't translate it, and there's people on here right now on my super chat that do speak Spanish and have understood what she said. You can verify it. Let's listen one more time. Here goes.
El chinito que me tomó la fotografía, él lo.
El chinito que me tomó la fotografía. I'm going to give you all a Spanish lesson right now. You're all going to learn el chinito que me tomó la fotografía. She doesn't say it once. She says it again in just a minute. And she says here, he bought us food. Go ahead.
They've been getting help from different people and from the people that.
From different people? She just said, el chinito que me tomó la fotografía, pendeja. Not from different people. No, keep playing.
Feed them here 3 times a day and stuff like that. So I thought they had flip-flops on. Yes, there were 2 twins. One of them had flip-flops on, and I think the other one was barefoot, from what I remember from the photo. Oiga, y entonces a usted ninguna fotógrafa le dijo pose o haga esto, nada más simplemente.
No, más bien yo esa fotografía ni sabía que este chino me la había tomado de frente.
So she prompts her, and then she says, after this, she's already told her, after Maria Lilia Mesa already said to pendeja for Trump, the Chinese guy that took my photos been feeding me. And then she translates, yeah, she's been getting help from various people, and they feed her here 3 times a day. None of which she said. She didn't say that shit. She didn't say it. I could play it again and again and again. We could break it down word by word, but she didn't say it. Thank you, Jimena for Trump 2020. We just got a $50 donation from her.
Wow.
Now listen, folks, listen, because there's more. Watch the deceit of this woman who I am sure is friends with and working with organized crime and the coyotes. Pendeja for Trump. She goes, now nobody told you to pose for that picture, right? No photographer, that's a leading question. Mm-hmm. Anybody that's watched a law or crime show know that that's a leading question. Te hiciste pendeja when she said that the chinito had fed her, that he had been helping her out. You didn't translate that part. And then you played pendeja again, and you tell her, so no one was prompting you to take that photo, right? And she says, no, in fact, I didn't even realize that the chinito had taken my picture. Rewind it a little bit so they can hear again. Rewind it. She prompts her, and then the lady says exactly what she wants her to say, which is pose or do this or that.
No, más bien yo esa fotografía ni sabía que este chino me la había tomado de presto. Cuando él me la enseñaron ahí, mira María, aquí salí por.
María, te llamas.
So, yeah, I didn't even realize that the chinito had taken my picture until they showed it to me later and said, look, this is a picture of you.
María Lidia Mesa.
Ah, María Mesa, ya, sí sabía tu nombre. Okay.
She says, oh, your name is Maria. And she's like, yeah, Maria Lilia Mesa. Oh, yeah, I did know your name, she says.
Okay. Es ropa, zapatos, no tenemos cobijas para dormir.
Está lloviendo muy fuerte aparte. Okay.
So she says, right now we need clothes, shoes, blankets. And Paloma says, yeah, and it's raining really hard right now.
She's saying they don't have blankets, they don't have food. She's saying they don't have food, but I've seen them being fed 3 times a day. So, oiga, y las niñas dónde están ahorita? Where's the kids? ¿Dónde están las niñas?
Ahorita las tengo allá en campo allá, las tengo adentro.
Pero están cubiertas, no se están mojando ni nada.
Sí, están cubiertas ahorita.
Tienen una carpa blanca, ¿verdad?
Sí, una carpita una casita que me regalaron el chino, el que lo tomó la foto.
Did you hear that? We're going to rewind it, but I want you to hear what she just said. Where are the kids? She translated that herself. They're over there, she says. They're not getting wet, are they? And she says, no. I have a tarp. Paloma, in advance of her telling her about the tarp or the teepee or the tent or whatever it is, says, hey, oh yeah, the white one, right? You have the white one. She says, yeah. Me la dio el chinito que me tomó la fotografía. I want you to hear it. Listen for it. She's going to talk about the chinito that took her picture because he's the one that gave her the tarp. Let's listen, folks. Here we go. Just rewind it a little tiny bit.
Tienen una carpa blanca, ¿verdad?
Sí, una carpita, una casita que me regalaron el chino, el que lo tomó la foto.
El chino, el que me tomó la foto.
Ok, miren, nosotros, tengo un pastor. ¿Usted es católica? ¿O qué es? ¿Cristiana, católica? Evangélica. Ok. Tengo un pastor,
So, she just skips right over that. She doesn't translate any of it. And she doesn't tell anybody that the guy that took the picture also gave her a house. She points up to the sky and she says, I have, what is it called? Those things like that we used at our wedding.
Well, they're tarps.
Or like a...
Canopies.
Canopies, thank you.
Yes.
I have a canopy that was given to me by the Chinese guy that took my photograph. Don't you think it would be a pretty important piece of information
You would think so.
to translate to your audience of thousands that the person that got famous, that got a Pulitzer Prize for taking that picture, which a lot of people suspect was staged, came with food and a canopy? Huh? Maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Did you give her a canopy? I'm asking for a friend.
Yep, exactly.
Because, guys, that is damning evidence, in my opinion. That is damning evidence.
Yeah, and the gift you have to be able to translate simultaneously and write in several languages and speak in several languages, for someone like me.
There we go.
Yep.
It's very clear. And not only that, folks. She was friends with not only a lot of the different spokespeople for the caravan, she was friends with the smugglers. She was friends with Cristina Estrada Torres, a.k.a. Sonia Vargas. She gave a fake name to the media because she didn't want people to know that she was a smuggler, but the authorities figured it out. Famously, this woman was arrested and threw a fit and had to be arrested and with a lot of different officers, and she bit one of the officers. Remember that lady?
Oh, yeah.
This is Paloma, one of many posts that Paloma made about Sonia, in which she links to the story of Cristina Estrada Torres, the migrant that was detained for biting an agent, the same migrant that was accused of human smuggling, which I'll show you in just a moment. And Paloma, for some reason, keeps calling her Sonia by the fake name that the smuggler gave. And she says, please, guys, no more messages about crazy Sonia. If you could see her in person as I have seen her, you would know she is just not well in the head. The MSM, once again, is using drama telenovelas to distract us all. Our countries are falling apart, guys, being destroyed by real dangerous, powerful people who will stop at nothing. Let's focus on that, not on some woman high on whatever. So please don't talk to me anymore about the lady that just got arrested for biting an officer and who's accused of smuggling. She's not a threat to anyone. She's just a little crazy. And if you were here like I am and you had talked to her, you would know that she's just nuts. Meanwhile, in the Mexican media, everyone is connecting her to Pueblos Sin Fronteras, Irineo Mujica, the guy that's being investigated by Interpol, the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, and various other governments for smuggling. Here's one of the many posts I showed on my show where they say these are parasites of society. In the pictures are Irineo Mujica and this woman whose real name is Cristina Estrada Torres. And it says she is human trafficking. You see that? Evidence of human smuggling with undocumented. I know you guys can't read Spanish, but it says traffickers of humans disguised as migrants. She passed herself as a migrant, just like Pitaya Queen passed herself off as a migrant. These people escort the migrants, trying to pass themselves off as just being another migrant among the crowd. But they are, in fact, working with Pueblos Sin Fronteras, the organization accused of trafficking, against which there is plenty of evidence that they are charging people, that they are making money, and that they are exploiting the migrants and violating our laws. This is the same Irineo Mujica who was involved in a conspiracy charge against No More Deaths volunteer Scott Warren. All the things I've been talking to you about lately. That's how I connected her to all of these folks, because she obviously is hiding what these criminals are doing. She is not telling you the full truth, and she is covering up for smugglers and saying, nothing to see here, folks. And the reason why I think that she is triggered of late is because she has a whole lot of legal problems of her own. One of the people that is following all her legal problems is a page on Facebook called John Leone Files.
Yes.
He recently posted some information about all of her current legal problems. Want to read that for us, Duke?
Yeah, and this is a publicly available site. You don't have to be a member or like it or follow it. It's just there. John Leone Files. You'll see Paloma complaining about John Leone a lot on her page. It says, hey, Paloma for Trump. Your court for stalking and harassment is February 19th. It's required that you show up. The judge won't accept Gene Federone call the courts and pretend he's your lawyer. You have your restraining orders against you. You're an unprofessional stalker that does be accept for no answer after a married man and his family.
Oh, that doesn't accept no for an answer.
Okay.
Who's after a married man and his family.
Okay, I couldn't read that right. Leave people alone. Link, if anyone wants to look at her court, which is public records, you can go on, you can lie on Video Paloma, but court records don't lie. Use a search by her name, Paloma's Zuniga Delint, and he gives a link right there. And he says, hey, Joy Villa, check out the person Lex chose to represent in Mexico stalking and harassing people. Hey, Deanne Lorraine, this is Omar Navarro's groupie that was stalking and harassing you. Take her to court if you need. She got 4 court cases against her, and 4 people in different states filed restraining orders against her. And he throws a few images on here. And
what are they?
They're actually, you can go into the New Jersey courts and type in her name. And this comes up is that it goes over a case. The date is February 19th, 2020, like you just said.
Yep.
It's a citizen complaint. It's in Bellevue TWP Municipal Court.
Coming up.
It's coming up, and it is harassment, communication in a manner to cause alarm.
So she is constantly stalking and harassing people. And she claims she's the one that is harassed. She's the one that's stalked. She's the one that has to get her fake lawyers to write letters and notices that she never sends. Because she's the victim, not the other way around.
Yeah.
But guess what? She has sent evidence to other people of her stalking. I'm going to share one with you right now. This is of her stalking people in Los Angeles. Remember, I previously showed you that she was stalking someone, and I showed you an audio recording, and when she's talking about going to Inglewood, she's like, I'm in Inglewood, and I'm stalking these people. And here's one that she's doing in Los Angeles. Listen for yourselves. Look at the date, June 3rd.
You know what it is that I'm out here in LA chasing these bitches. And oh my God, girl, I've been all over them today and yesterday. It's so funny. They're fucking scared out of their minds. Oh my God, I have so much to share with you. This morning I'm driving on Sunset and they're having fucking lunch at Sunset Saddle Ranch. I get out, I start stalking them. Oh my God, it's so funny. And so, they, you know, they're always going to try to get me to back away somehow. And, you know, they're gonna try to find you enemies. I really don't have enemies other than her. So what's someone that can bother me, that can drain my energy? Well, something like this fucking idiot. I'm not gonna let it. I'm in LA. I'm focusing on la pinche puta enana sotaca. You know, wanna be chichona, wanna be fucking, you know, Pantene hair, and that's my focus. And I'm not gonna let this guy bother me because she's my focus. You know.
Wow. That's a lot of editing.
It's still playing in the background. I can hear it.
No, it was done.
Isn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to have you play it again. She uses a lot of very vulgar language to describe the woman that she is stalking, who I believe is Jimena Sanchez. She is a Fox News sports reporter.
Oh, okay.
She stalks model Fabiana Baldo. She has also stalked this woman. And I'm going to show you some court documents that she sent herself where she filed a restraining order against the people she is in these audios stalking and admitting that she is stalking them on the day after she sends the audio. Wow. So I want you to hear the audio and how she's celebrating that they're scared. They're terrified of her. And she's laughing about it, and I'm stalking them. They want me to stop, but they'll never get me to stop. They'll never get me to back away. Having a great old time. And then the next day, she files a restraining order against them. If you wanted to see the modus operandi of a serial stalker, here it is. She stalks and harasses people, and then she uses the litigation system in this criminal fashion to double down on her harassment. Listen again to the glee in her voice as she is stalking these people, these two women in Los Angeles. One of them is Jimena Sanchez.
You know what it is that I'm out here in LA chasing these bitches. And oh my God, girl, I've been all over them today and yesterday. It's so funny. They're fucking scared out of their minds. Oh my God, I have so much to share with you. This morning I'm driving on Sunset and they're having fucking lunch at Sunset Saddle Ranch. I get out, I start stalking them. Oh my God, it's so funny. And so, they're always going to try to get me to back away somehow. And, you know, they're going to try to find you enemies. I really don't have enemies other than her. So what's someone that can bother me, that can drain my energy? Well, something like this fucking idiot. I'm not going to let it. I'm in LA. I'm focusing on la pinche puta enana sotaca. You know, wanna be chichona, wanna be fucking, you know, Pantene hair. And that's my focus. And I'm not going to let this guy bother me because she's my focus, you know?
Chichona means big boobed. She calls her short. She calls her, she says wannabe Pantene hair, wannabe this, wannabe that. She's not a wannabe. She is a famous model, celebrity, sports announcer on Fox.
Okay.
Paloma is just a person that sells herself on the internet and exploits people. That's what she does. And that's her. That's her own words. And then what does she do? She files a frivolous restraining order against these people. Wow. Now, let me show you more of what happened on this day where she was stalking, okay? Here is another audio of her talking about how she then goes to the hotel of these two women and sits in the parking lot across from the hotel stalking them. And she is giddy with glee because this 18-story building, she could have ended up not being able to see where they were, but they got a room on the first floor. So she has perfect stalking visibility from where she sits. Take a listen for yourself.
You know what it is, that I'm out here in LA chasing these bitches. And, oh my God, girl, I've been all over them today and yesterday. It's so funny. They're fucking scared out of their minds. Oh my God, I have so much to share with you. This morning I'm driving on Sunset and they're having fucking lunch at Sunset, Saddle Ranch. I get out, I start stalking them. Oh my God, it's so funny. And so, they, you know, they're always going to try to get me to back away somehow. And, you know, you know, they're going to try to find you enemies. I really don't have enemies other than her, so what's someone that can bother me, that can drain my energy? Well, something like this fucking idiot. I'm not going to let it. I'm in LA. I'm focusing on la pinche puta enana sotaca. You know, wanna be chichona, wanna be fucking, you know, Pantene hair. And that's my focus. And I'm not going to let this guy bother me because she's my focus, you know? But that.
That's the same one as
Oops, sorry. Here you go.
I parked my car right across the street, like on Sunset. You know, one of the meters. Girl, it's an 18-story fucking hotel. 18 stories high, okay? Do you know how many fucking rooms there must be? There must be at least, what, 300 rooms in 18 fucking stories? They get the room on the first floor overlooking my car. Out of all fucking chances. I don't know if that was good or bad. I think that was good. But, so here you have me stalking them and them looking at me out the window. They're staring at each other like they could have gotten this, you know, a room on the 7th floor, 8th floor, fucking 17th floor. No, they got room 102 on the first fucking floor, overlooking my car, looking out the window saying, oh, look at her, she's stalking us. She's like...
So, did you hear that?
Yeah.
She's talking about stalking again. Here I am stalking them. And then she sends a picture of her where she is located and stalking them. Here's a picture of the window of these two women that she is stalking, that she is telling on herself she is stalking. And she sends it saying, look how short she looks. That's a picture of two, you see the two silhouettes? Mm-hmm. You see that? And she says, compared to the blonde bench, I'm not going to say the word she used.
Yeah.
This is a picture that she took. And if you scroll down a little further, I think there might be more there. I'm always making fun of them. And the other person says, it's blurry. The photo is blurry. And she says, well, it's from across the street. So that's exactly what you heard in the audio, that she's across the street stalking them.
Yep.
Across the street from the hotel. And there's a picture that she took of her stalking them. And there's the audio telling that she's stalking them. All of this happening on June 3rd, 2018. You just saw the next day she goes and she gets a harassment order against Jimena Sanchez.
Wow.
This is her filing date the next day, after she has been harassing these two women. And she sends it to show, look, getting a restraining order against them. I'm so proud. Look at it. Isn't this great? She's proud of the fact that she did this.
Wow.
And she took out a restraining order against the woman that was with her, too. And, I mean, this woman is nothing but lies. You know how you know that Paloma is lying? Her mouth is moving. She's told you again and again not to follow people reporting on what's happening with the caravans because she likes the smugglers and she's helping them. She also wants to tell you that the people that are actually reporting, by the way, I want to thank our latest sponsor.
Oh, yeah.
To America One. Thank you. Many thanks to you for supporting us.
Exactly.
But this woman who has defrauded and exploited people, for what, I don't know, but it's not for anything good. She's taken money for dogs she didn't care for. She has taken money for migrants she hasn't helped. She has taken money for, working on helping the president's campaign, supposedly. But it's all really just to go to line her pockets, while she tells everyone, don't donate to the independent news sources out there. Don't donate to legitimate nonprofits and legitimate businesses. If they're asking for money, there's something wrong. I never ask anybody for money. Here's one of her latest posts in which she talks about how she doesn't ask anyone for money, even though there are plenty of people probably on the comments of this show right now that will have been talking about the fact that how she defrauded them. She has defrauded people to the tune of thousands and $20,000 in just one case. That's how much money she's taken off of just one person. But she says she doesn't ask for money. She doesn't ask anyone for a job or for money. In fact, she said, I was once fooled into doing something I would never have agreed to had I known in advance. I just don't have it in me. If I did, being as strong as I am physically, I'd be running a business of that type, as so many do, and making hundreds of thousands. I am not. Well, I think that you are not, because you are incompetent, and about the only thing that you know how to sell is your nalgas. But here is clear evidence that you do indeed ask for money.
Oh, yeah.
There's a post that was sent saying, your last audio had no sound. What are you doing? I need to ask you a favor. I just bought a little car to turn it into a taxi libre. I need to put the writing on it to rent it out by tomorrow, but I spent almost all I had on getting it. Can you lend me $90 till Wednesday? I'll pay you back. I promise you. Just kind of stuck today. My friend in La Jolla owes me money. He should pay me tomorrow. And if he does, I will pay you right away. Now catch this. The person responds, I won't have money until Friday. I get paid. And then now that she can't get the money today, and, she already says there's a guy that owes her money that she could get tomorrow to pay her back. Now that it's all the way until Friday, she changes her tune immediately. If he doesn't pay me, can you do it Friday? So she was never going to get that money from the La Jolla guy.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm probably not going to get that money from that guy. I just told you I was going to get the money to pay you back with. Yeah, that's probably not going to happen. If he doesn't give me the money that he owes me, can I get some money from you? And then she ups the amount. This just went from a $90 transaction to a $300 transaction. He owes me $300, well, actually $275. And the effer is playing dumb. So the person responds, yep, it's Friday. That's when I can get the money that I can let you borrow. And around 10 a.m. it says, I thought 400 was okay. I couldn't call you and I had no phone, but you said 400 was okay. So in the end, the amount that she needed kept going up, and she got it. Just like she's gotten money off of so many unsuspecting people. And that's the reason